All right. What is up, everybody? Thank you if you're tuning in to this live. Hello. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hang in there. We've got a lot to talk about today. Let me just check my audio real quick. Hopefully, I'm not too loud. Yeah. So, just a reminder, we do have the Drumsticks of Doom trade paperback coming up. Kickstarter couple weeks from now. January 16th, we're going to be launching that. We're not here to talk about that today, but of course, we want to remind people please follow. All the links are going to be in the show notes. They're also in the YouTube comments right now. So please do follow that. And we've got 4 campaigns, and we're about to talk about the 4th one already. We'll be sharing all the links, so please follow them all. Follow our page. Do something. Follow something so that you can get notified of all these things. We plan to have 5 crowdfunding launches next year for Part-Time Comics. Drumsticks of Doom is the first and very important one, but they are all equally important, including the reason we're here today to talk about the future of one of our books, which has already been spoiled for those who've been following along closely. This has already been spoiled, but we're going to pretend that it hasn't. And this is new and exciting news, and we do have a new and exciting cover for you for sure. So please hang in there as we talk to our guest today. Let me bring her in. If I can figure out how to work StreamYard.
Hello.
Hello.
How
We have.
goes?
Hello. How goes it with you?
I'm alive and not on fire, so that's always a win. That's
The
kind of
bar.
my baseline for
No,
being okay.
I'm the same way. Set the bar low, and the day can only exceed your expectations.
Hopefully. Sometimes it doesn't, but
No
we're not here
fire.
to talk about that.
Hello, chatter. Thanks for joining in. Yeah, so we have Matta Sorcier here with us. Again, we've already kind of announced that she is the new artist on one of our books, but we'll keep it a mystery for those of you who haven't been following along closely. We did discuss that about a month ago on her show that she's guesting on, the Bit and Apple TV.
Well, I'm a permanent resident there now, so I guess I'm just co-hosting. I'm no longer a guest. They've decided to keep me.
Is it official, or are you just officially unofficial
I'm
until they kick
officially
you off?
official. Like they added me to their Facebook chat and everything, so it's official.
Oh, that's official.
That
Once
is
you're in the
very official.
Facebook chat.
Yep.
Nice. Well, good. Yeah, I'm glad they realized they had a good thing.
Aw, thank you.
And you're weekly on Tuesday nights?
It's Monday nights and Wednesday nights, so
Wednesday night.
it's a lot, yeah.
I was gonna say I usually catch it the next day, when Facebook tells me on the Tuesday. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And I will try to include that. I did also include, again, if you're watching this afterwards, go to the um, show description. I do have Mata's Patreon in there as well.
Thank you.
And yeah, follow her on Facebook, all the socials. Bit and Apple TV, again, just search that on YouTube. Or really, they stream to pretty much everywhere now. But
Yep.
yeah, follow the show Mondays and Wednesdays.
Yep, Mondays at 7:30 PM EST and Wednesdays at 10:30 PM EST.
Yeah, and
That's it.
that's, as I alluded to, that's usually why I watch it the next day, because I'm an old man, and when those shows go live late,
Yeah,
I'm already in bed.
I'm usually half asleep on, like, the Wednesday show, but I do it anyway because it's what you do.
Oh, you're a good sport. I mean, I appreciate you coming on to our early bird show here for the old farts at 7 p.m. Central. So I'm going to try to
Excellent.
do these things regularly. Again, for those watching, I know my wonderful YouTube commenters. We are going to try to do these regularly. Again, especially as we have so many releases pretty much bi-monthly for the first 9 or 10 months of the year. And I'm glad to have you on for the last one of the year.
I feel special being the
You are
last one.
special.
Aw, thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Part of what I want to do on this show is kind of highlight people's comics journey and how they came to comics. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you are, of course, the creator of everything that is Sacrimony, but tell us what your current books are about. How did you get to this point, and why were you so desperate to work with Part-Time Comics?
Oh man, that's a lot of questions. Also, excuse my heat coming up. It's very loud and noisy. I promise you no one's being like murdered in the back.
I
So,
don't think we can even hear it. At least I can't through my
oh,
headphones.
yeah, it's like a loud clanking sound, but oh, cool. If it's being tuned out, amazing. So I'm Matta Sorcier. I'm a self-taught artist and writer from Bronx, New York. I am fueled purely by spite at this point, because that's just what keeps me going. I'm the artist and writer and marketer and everythinger behind Sacrimony, A Tale of Love, Life, and Death in no particular order, which is the story of a teenage girl who died, but then she got better. And as with all mysterious resurrection stories, there is a catch. She has no memory of her past, no idea why she has magical powers, or why she has demon wings that she has to hide from society. And now she's trying to just live a normal life in a city that wants her dead yet again. Did I answer? Oh, also, why am I desperate to work with part-time comics? Cause part-time comics is cool, and I like what y'all do. So
Well, thank you. We appreciate that, and we appreciate you, being at the end of your rope. We love to find artists who, really just need the work, and we kind of swoop in and take advantage of that. So we'll add you
amazing.
to that list.
That's a good business model.
I am, and I'm not paying attention to you. I'm trying to not be an old man who can't do anything right and share this. There we go. Okay, so we've got the pre-launch here. I may pull up some past issues here. I'd probably rather do
Sure.
that so that we can see the last campaign, of course, being 1 through 6. And there's a trade paperback out.
Yes, there is.
So let me show you that here, because I think that will better illustrate. Obviously, the link for the next one is here, so you can obviously get all 7 issues. As we commonly do in comics, we like to not just put the current issue so people know that they can get all the back issues that they
Yeah,
want.
I always get pissed off when it's like, all right, this is like the 10th book in the series, and it's like there's no way to read the other 9 or get them, and I'm just like, why would you do that?
Yeah, it boggles my mind when people do that, but I know, everybody's circumstances are different. Try not to be judgmental, but yeah, you really got to do that. And again, we've all kind of went to this thing where we have to also highlight that so people don't get confused that they can't get the older issue. So I appreciate that you did that here. And as you can see, this is a long running series at this point. Particularly as far as indie goes. Um,
Yeah,
I
it's
know
gonna
you
be
have
very long.
I know you have your buddy series and other work under your belt, but to me, I mean, you're still um, new to the comic scene or newer than somebody old like me, as I keep mentioning. So a lot of times, as you've probably heard in your journey, it's difficult to get this far into a series when you have a big plan, like you obviously do, and we'll talk about that a little bit. This is a big story, and that uh, I usually advise people against that, right? Because that we don't always get to this point. But you see, obviously, Mata is dedicated to the series, so you
It's
have
all
no
the
worry
spite.
about all the spite. That's what you really need to fuel this. I'll definitely start telling people if they're going to commit to that, they need to be filled with spite. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's really like the more people told me like, "Oh, don't you do a long-running series?" Like the more spiteful I felt. And I'm just like, "No, I'm gonna do it because this is what I wanted to do since I was like 12 years old. Like, just let me have this."
and that's great. And again, I just want to highlight that because a lot of times people will be like, somebody said it's a 40 issue series and they're only on issue 2. I'm going to wait. Well, wait no longer. There's already a trade paperback out. I should have been a better host and had it prepared here. It's a big, thick 5 issues trade paperback, which I'm
Oh, I
assuming. Oh, she's got one for you.
yeah,
All right.
I'm prepared. I'm prepared today for once in my life. But yes, this is a heckin' chonker of a book, as you can see. It's 184 pages. There's a lot of story, there's a lot of emotions. There's also like cutesy comics in the back where people have asked me questions and I answer them in comic form. There's like a little, after the credit scene.
Which was a delightful addition, which I do want to add. A lot of times the trade paperback is, I know how it is budget wise, to add those extra pages, work wise, to make extra content. That all takes time and resources. So sometimes the extras are slim, but she gives you some nice extras in here, some bonus stuff, including that was a fun way to engage with the characters in a different way and kind of answer questions. So that's really fun. But it's thick. The issues are they must be all your issues must be over 20 pages, right?
Yeah, each issue is at least 30 pages. And this is issues 1 through 5 in there. Plus, I did like 11 extra pages of story that wasn't in the previous issues. Plus, I did like, I think, 15 pages of Q&A comics. And then, yeah, it was a lot, but like it's a labor of love, and I want to give the readers as much as I possibly can because it's like thank you for sticking with the story and reading it and enjoying it, and like here's some more cool stuff.
And again, with indie series, sometimes things happen along the way, life, finances, all that stuff. But it's good to see this series continues into its next leg here. How many issues do you have planned, or where do you see the story going, like, long term?
Oh my god, I'm gonna be like 80 years old and still working on this pretty much. Like there's definitely an end, but it's gonna take a while to get there because like it's gonna follow these characters over like possibly like decades and like seeing, how they deal with what's going on, like how they change, how they adapt to their situations. And yeah, it's like I estimate, I don't know, it could be anywhere between like 50 to 70 issues by the time it's done. It may be longer because I'm bad at estimating these things. It There's the off chance it may be shorter, who knows? But it's definitely like a long haul type thing.
Nice. Yeah, and Matta and I met in this wonderful world called the internet. I believe I first was introduced to you through Blake's Buzz. I think you were on. Um,
Possibly, or was it Kevin Joseph's server for his tart stuff? One
I think
one of those two. I feel like they're interconnected at this point.
I think I first saw you on Blake's Buzz, and I was like, "Who is this delightful woman wearing a hat inside?" Um,
It's
and
for the light, otherwise it's just like ta-da!
right,
But also
and
it's because it's my favorite hat.
and then obviously through the conversation, you talked about your comic, and what drew me in to want to continue to follow you and follow you on social medias, was your art, which I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
showing here, but I haven't. I'm, again, not good at this. But obviously, you see, she has, great line work, great color choices, very striking fantasy imagery, if that's what you want to call it. Nice,
Also butts.
well, I was about to say a nice back end on the Gladiator here. So I wish I had it pulled up too. It was definitely, I believe it was even the cover of the trade. But you had a woman, in a peacock style headdress, and it was just like, your line work is very striking. It's
Oh,
just like, oh,
was it this?
yes, it was that.
Okay, yeah, this is gonna be the variant cover for 7, and this
Okay.
is like a watercolor painting. Well, it's mixed media because there's watercolor, there's marker, there's color pencil, there's like lots of stuff, but it's gonna be the cover.
And no, let me make you bigger. Put that back up.
Oh, sure. Then you
Um,
can see all of the glitter that I put on it too, because I always put glitter on my watercolor paintings. But ooh, so shiny.
and obviously we didn't know each other at the time. I didn't know your process, but again, I think the imagery, it speaks for itself. So I'm like, okay, let me follow this person on social media. We see a lot of these interviews. And then we were introduced to each other through Kevin Joseph's Discord server, and I could tell, we had similar sense of humor, and obviously, again, your art speaks for itself. Picked up the book. I was very happy, obviously meeting you, knowing that, hearing about your story, seeing you on other social medias. I was interested in the story. Okay, as you described it, your pitch is great.
Thank you.
So somebody dies, they come back, they can't remember why, or they got better, as you say, is a
Yep.
funny way to put it. Um, so I was like, okay, this intrigues me. And then you get, I didn't really look at what was in it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to read this. And you get this fat book in the mail, which is always nice. That first chapter, it wasn't, this thin little, like some of,
It
our
wasn't
next,
like a 100-page, just like $40 book.
right. Which, honestly, with the content that I have for Drumsticks of Doom, ours is going to be a wimpy little 100-page, and yours is like, bam, 160 pages. I was like, wow, that's impressive in itself. Big fat spine on it.
Doubles as a weapon.
Doubles as a weapon. I use it to kill my
Someone
other comic books.
Yeah, or it's like, someone comes up to you and they're like, "Give me your money," and you hold up this book and you're like, "No, you give me your money," and they're like, "All right then."
All right, I'll give you my money. But please, everybody, who's watching, check it out for yourself. I won't spoil any of it for you, but you have all that. You obviously your line work is great. Your color choices are great. I think that the coloring of the series gives it personality. I like the feel that it gives it. As soon as you crack open that first page, you feel like you're in this, strange fantasy world. There's gods talking to each other, and kind of modest choices of storytelling. That the characters are not always overly serious. There's some lighthearted moments. There's some funny moments, again, between, these ancient gods, with who knows how long they've been, having their godlike issues. But she weave some humor in there. So you never know what you're going to get, right?
Yeah, I
I
mean, it's like it's human. Like no one is like serious 24/7. No one is like, goofy 24/7. It's like art imitates life. I like to make my characters feel human so that it's like, you'll get like the super sad heavy feels, but then also you might get like some sort of weird like satirical joke thrown in there and you're like, "Oh, haha, that's too real."
which I enjoyed. Again, you know, it comics, I always say it's about choices. You can make a choice to make a very serious, very because the setting feels very, regal. It feels very Regency or whatever they talk about, that old English style of writing. You could have easily went to very heavy dialogue and very serious, and there is moments of that, and then some character will come in with kind of, a slang in his dialogue, and it's like, okay, I enjoy that. I enjoyed that choice that you made throughout the series. Also, again, not to spoil too much for people, um, there again, she mentioned a character comes, gets better after dying. Now what do they do, right? So
Yep.
that's the story. They're in this small town trying to make ends meet, literally. And they join a theater troupe, and there's just again a lot of those choices that drew me into the story. I want to know about the relationship between the mom and the child. Again, these godlike beings, and how they interact with this world, in their relationships. That's what makes a story interesting. So I hadn't had a chance to talk to you about that, but did just want to kind of give you my feedback that that's what makes me want to come back for the second trade or the next issue, or whatever. Um, and I was just very pleasantly surprised. And again, I just think your choices, the covers that you do are very striking. They pull you into the story, but the internal artwork, the color choices, your use of very different looking characters, very unique. You could tell who they are. I mean, here's a page right here where you can just tell, these aren't, five uh, pictures she pulled off of, Reddit or something like that of the same person trace. These are all very unique looking characters, unique design. You pay a lot of time and detail into the attire of the characters. So if that's something that people like to see with that, I think that was all great. Those are all things I enjoyed.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I've done everything right then. Because I definitely want to make characters that look very memorable, that feel very memorable, and like, have these images pull someone in and be like, what the hell is going on here? This looks kind of weird but pretty. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And oh man, I lost my train of thought. It's that kind of day.
That's all right. And I think that is a very underrated part of art. I think, again, a lot of it is, of course, we focus on, did they draw this awesome panel of Spider-Man punching, the villain in the face and things like that. But we don't always slow down to think about all the choices you all have to make. I can write anything I want in that blurb for a panel for an artist, um, but unless you make it come to life and make it different and feel unique, but also at the same time, again, here's a good page up on the screen that illustrates, sometimes you just have to make it work. There's going to be word balloons. There's going to be things like that have to fit in the panels as well. You have to make that flow. So again, I think your choices are you're hitting on all cylinders in the series so far.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is also like one of the pages that happens to be particularly wordy, and it's hard to make those like visually interesting sometimes. So it's just like, all right, well, change the angles, like put this in the background. Oh, hey, hello, people.
And yeah, oh, and here's our if this is our mutual friend,
Oh, it's Dave.
Mr. Baxter. He's rereading the trade, so there you go.
My God, you are a trooper for reading the heckin' chonker of a book twice.
It is a heckin' chonker. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. That was something I recently found out from you. We're talking about choices. You made a very interesting choice to me, and I'd like you to talk about that. I understand that this is not your first time drawing this book.
Oh
Tell us
my
about
God.
that.
Yeah, so oh man, I started Sacrimony as a webcomic back in 2016. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was like using tools that I didn't even know how to use properly. Like I was using a dip pen with like a particular nib that has like a really high learning curve. I didn't know how to digitally color. I didn't know how to letter properly. Like it was kind of like I call it like a beta test, I guess, where it's just like, all right, let me do this, see what I did wrong, and then like figure out how to do it better. And the absolutely bonkers part of this is that I had drawn at least like 250 pages into the series before I was like, oh man, like these first pages are like really, really rough. And if I'm trying to sell that as like a trade paperback, I can't be there to stand around and reassure someone like, oh, don't worry, it gets better, I promise. Like just, get this book and like 300 pages down the road, it'll actually look better and feel better and read better. So I was just like, oh man, I have to do all of this over. And it was a hard choice because, people give you weird looks because they're so used to comics like retconning and rebooting and whatever, where it's just like, oh, so you're just gonna get caught in that cycle of just like rebooting your comic over and over, huh? I'm like, no, I really need to fix all of the sins of the past. So in 2020, during the whole pandemic, I just kind of like hunkered down with my little stimulus check and my unemployment. And I was like, you know what, let me fix this and I'll make a better, stronger, faster book and launch it in 2021. And I'm so glad that I did. Like, I have no intention of redoing those pages at all ever, but like it was the right choice.
Wow. I mean, obviously, I haven't seen those pages, so no judgment on it.
Oh man, do I have an old copy here? Hold on, hold on.
Oh, I didn't realize you had even put it out.
I did. It was so sad because it was like I had it on Kickstarter back in like 2017 and I got like 22 backers and it was kind of sad. Oh no, I knocked a bunch of shit down. I don't have an old copy handy, I think. Oh, that's unfortunate. I usually have it around because I use it for reference for like the new art. Nuts. Double check here, maybe. Uh
That's okay. I'm gonna try and find it, the old
oh,
Kickstarter.
oh. All right. Actually, yeah. This was the old trade paperback
Oh,
cover.
oh. Can I make you bigger? Nope, that's me.
Oh, now we're like halvesies. But yeah, it's like, that was the old art. Like the first few pages were super rough because once again, I had no idea what I was doing. Like it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but I know it wasn't like up to like quote unquote professional quality, if that makes sense. Like it was all right, it was passable, but definitely not something that would like draw somebody in right away and be like, "Oh, this looks great." Oh, there we go. Like it was okay, but you can't get by on okay nowadays because like so many indie comic creators are just putting out like super polished professional like, absolutely stellar work and here I am just with like do 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 do, So it was a good idea to redo it.
Yeah, and again, that's just something I wanted to talk to you about because that fascinated me because I have drawn a total of 3 pages of comic art that's been published in my whole life, and I couldn't imagine redrawing like that many. I've had points in a series where I've had to discuss that with an artist, and ultimately I couldn't even bring myself to have them redo it, even though there was mistakes or problems. I said, let's just move. We're moving forward.
Oh,
We are Meet the Robinsons. We are, keep moving forward. Um, so, because I'm always like, you know what, time is a resource to me too. So it's like, I feel like if I'm making them spend their time going back, we're not going forward and all that. Um, so again, when you're the editor in chief of the whole book, you get to make that decision. It's
it
only
was
up to you.
it was a hard decision to make. I mean, because like these, the 250 pages that I had done was pretty much like almost 4 years worth of work that I now had to redo over again.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I had to fix a lot of the writing because when I had started, I was kind of like I knew where I wanted things to go, but I was kind of making up the scenes as I went along. So like things didn't flow properly and like there was a lot of things that were completely rewritten and like explained better and oh man, it
Yeah.
was a good decision.
I don't. The first series I ever wrote, I had no experience. I met my longtime co-collaborator Bob Gortonellis on a comic book message board. I asked if anybody was interested in, working on a series together. He said yes. I gave him a couple of options, and he picked one. And I kind of was like so excited. I think I was working in an ER at the time, and we didn't have any clients there to see. So I was like, I'm gonna write this script right now. And I wrote this
Nice.
10-page script, and I was like, yes, I just had the seed of an idea. And then I realized 40 pages into it that it wasn't really going anywhere, right? It was kind of this meandering slice of life story. I thought it was cool. His art was great, but we ended up abandoning that because, I didn't take enough time to kind of see things through and plant seeds for an ending and things like that. We ended up coming back to it later and kind of finishing it in a way we felt was good, but again, that's a choice you have to make. And although we didn't end up redrawing the series, I did pull the plug on a series, and I've done that before too, like where I didn't feel like it was solid enough, and we moved on to other things. And it's not an easy decision to make, but I
It's
do respect
painful.
it. Because yeah, you don't want you want to put out the best product you can, and you again, if you have such a long story, you don't want people to get to issue 5 and be like, yeah, this isn't what I wanted. You want them to be, you know,
Yeah,
hitting
or
on
even
every.
like getting to issue 2 and being like, "Oh, this doesn't make a lot of sense, and the art is kinda like sorta okay. I guess I can pass on this one and go read something else."
Yeah, and some people are going to make that choice no matter what. So let's not, make it easy for them, right? Let's. But again, 4 years of work. Wow. I mean, good on you. And again, I think I haven't seen the other work, but I think it was the right choice based on what I've seen. Um, if this is your work and this is what you're putting out, I think you should be proud of it, and I hope that people pick up the series and it continues to grow. As you continue on in the series here with issue 7 coming up in
Yep.
January. What do you have a launch date?
The 15th, so I'm like a day before you.
Okay, great. We'll be on the battlefield together.
We absolutely will. It'll be great. And
And
traumatic. We'll bond through trauma.
do you want to? Yes, we'll bond through trauma. Do you want to talk about any of the tiers? You have both the singles and the trade available for people who want to catch up.
Yep, I've got, the standard single issues. I have not finished the cover for that one yet, but I also am gonna have this one as a hollow foil variant, so it's gonna be extra shiny.
Ooh,
I've also got a print and sticker set that I don't have handy. What else? I'm gonna be selling the original inked pages because, like, they're cool collector's items, so, if anybody wants to literally own a piece of Sacrimony, that would be very cool. For the first time, I'm actually gonna be offering cameo slots too because I decided that I'm just gonna do the inks, I'm gonna run the Kickstarter, and then based on the funding, I'll decide how to color it because coloring takes a lot of time, and if I don't get enough funding, I can't really afford to spend a lot of time like doing the super elaborate colors that I'm used to, so I'm going to tone it down
mm,
and have those color like the fancy colors be a stretch goal. But also, because it's going to be kind of like a work in progress, I can do like cameo slots, so it's like if someone wants their face in a crowd scene, like they can pledge for that, and they'll also get the original inked page that they appear in. And there's gonna be a speaking part too as, like, a carriage driver, so if somebody wants that part, like, that's gonna be up for grabs.
that's cool. I'm always shocked at how excited people are for the cameos. So that's good that you're doing that.
I am too. I had done that when I did my original little Kickstarters back in 2017, and, like, those were actually the cameo slots were what kept me afloat with those Kickstarters, like, they're the only reason that it got funded because I mean, I had, like, 22 backers and I had, like, a $1,000 goal. So
Nice.
people were like swooping in for the cameo appearances. I'm like, okay, that's cool. For volume 2, when I had the Kickstarter for that one, there was like a cameo where someone actually gets murdered. And like that one, as soon as I launched it, like that cameo slot was taken up. And I'm like, you sick people.
Everybody who tells me that, like, oh, they get to be a zombie, get their head cut off, they get to get murdered. Those I got to find some way to work that into my story because people go crazy for that.
Seriously. I mean, people get like stuff happens to people in this issue that we're working on, right? We can work that in.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely in our series that we're about to talk about.
Yes.
There can be some mayhem. In Drumsticks of Doom, I don't know why. I just it's kind of got a horror esque, but I just haven't worked the murder angle into it. I don't know. That one
Hmm.
seems a little more lighthearted to me, but this one we can definitely kill some people.
We can capitalize off of killing people. It'll be
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And again, we'll talk about that too offline. I am sometimes hesitant too because I know how that puts extra stress on artists. That is a lot of extra work. So if you want to do that, hey,
Yeah, no, I'm
hit her
looking
first.
forward to it. I'm down for it. Whatever helps the cause, dude. Like we've talked about this. Whatever gives us a good chance.
And you mentioned your original art. Have you sold that before through the campaigns?
I've sold some original sketches and the original colored cover art for the trade paperback that is already sold.
Nice.
But I've never sold pages because I've usually done them digitally, but I got really tired of doing digital. So like I set up my little corner behind me to do traditional art. And
That's
there's like
awesome.
all of my comic boxes down there. But yeah, so I set up a little space there to actually make room to do traditional art. So I've gone back to doing pages traditionally, and yeah, I mean if someone wants to own a piece of that, that's great.
So none of the first 6 issues are done traditionally?
Nope, those were all digital.
Wow. Well, there you go, people. This will be the first time to get traditional. I know the artist on Drumsticks of Doom, Dan Doherty, he was digital for a long time. And we talked before the series. He said he wanted to get back into traditional. Like you said, he was tired of the digital. He thought it would work well with this series. I'm so glad he did because the pages look amazing. There's just something about traditional art.
Yeah,
I
it's so much more lively and less like quote unquote perfect, if that makes sense, because it's like, with the digital lines you have to be like really precise, otherwise
Mhm.
it doesn't look right. But then it's so precise that it's like weird uncanny valley doesn't look right. There's much more life to traditionally drawn lines.
Mistakes happen that you kind of work around. I know
Happy accidents.
happy accidents. I know an artist I'm working on another series spilled some ink on there. He worked around it. That's fun too. I love traditional art. I have a lot of traditional art. Um, and that's really cool that you've kind of switched in the middle of the series here. I think that will it'd be an extra incentive for people. And again, if she hadn't done the first 6 issues, now this is your first chance to get the inked pages. How cool is that? So
Yes.
if you haven't, again, the link is in the show notes. Here it is again on the screen. This is coming up one day before Drumsticks of Doom. So you have one day to dump all your money into her campaign, so you won't have any money left for ours.
Oh
And that's
no.
okay. We respect that.
No, I don't want to hear that.
No, that's okay. To the early bird, you get the worms first. So we'll but yes, you'll hear more about this campaign. We'll be co-promoting together as we go here. And I'm sure at some point in both of our campaigns we'll be talking about our shared project, which we're going to talk about now.
Yes.
So again, it was announced on Bit and Apple TV. They got the exclusive. For those who don't know, Matta is the new artist on Child Possession Services, our ongoing series for Part-Time Comics. Um, I kind of pitched it to her again and just kind of meeting her, knowing that she kind of had the right, mindset for what the series is about, dark humor, whatever you want to say. Obviously, it's the artwork first. I think she'd be a good fit for the series going forward. We have a one shot coming out this year. We hadn't announced that part of it. So let's talk a little bit more about what that actual issue is and show off Mada's awesome cover, which she has already prepared long before the campaign is ready.
Excellent. I try. I try to be prepared. It doesn't always work, but I'm glad it worked out this time.
Yeah, so here it is. The awesome cover for, and we'll probably be reworking this. Is not the final trade dress. But Child Possession Services Possessed and Confused one shot will be coming approximately this spring. We won't commit ourselves exactly to it now. We'll see how the year goes. But yeah, after Matta and I get through our first campaigns in the year, we're going to be focusing on CPS. Again, for those who've been following the series, um, I don't have the guts that Matta does to commit to a long-term story just yet. There definitely is a long-term story within CPS, but we are making these kind of one-shot stories, so you can pick up anyone at any time and enjoy the world of Child Possession Services. To give you the short pitch for those who might be hearing this for the first time, Connie Dar is a social worker for possessed children, recently or previously possessed children. Um, and of course, you could imagine all of the excitement that brings as a social worker with kids and families myself. I know that already is exciting, but when you add the fact that these children were possessed, of course, if there was possessions were frequent around the world, of course, the U.S. government would make a horribly run agency, poorly underfunded. And Connie, of course, wanting to be a social worker and help people, has been working for this agency for about 10 years. And she's kind of at the point where she's burnt out, not just because of the clients, but of course, all the bureaucracy that you have to deal with in working for a government agency like Child Possession Services. So that's the short pitch. Matta was able to read the first 2 issues. We've done a one-shot and a Halloween special. And again, my amazing long 15-year collaborator, Bob Ornelas, he was not able to continue with the series, co-creator of this series and of Connie and all the characters. We hate to see him go on the series, but we're so happy that we found the right artist at the right time who had the availability in her schedule to jump in here and do our story here, which of course, tongue-in-cheek title, Possessed and Confused. It's a little bit an homage to Dazed and Confused because it is about a discussion about legalization of possession, and what the world would do with something like that. So that is kind of where our story is going to pick up here. So yeah.
I'm very excited to be working on this. Like, you had me at the fish. That's all I have to say. Like, as soon as I saw that one scene where it's like, the fish dies and she calls in and she's just like, I can't come in, I lost a loved one. I was like, okay, I vibe with this.
I wish I could take credit for that. That was definitely Bob's idea. He for some reason was very focused on her having problems with a fish that she really wanted.
Yeah, because then she puts a note and she's just like, bye, New Seymour. I'm like, oh my god, it's so clever.
Yeah, that was a great one. And the series is a little bit dark. We have children being put in peril and all kinds of things with demons and stuff like that. But we like it a little bit more lighthearted. So if you're okay with fish, not being taken care of because you're a social worker with your own demons to fight, then we definitely got a series for you. So here's the fish here. Another great spoiler that we can give away is week 1 incentive. We're going to do a sticker of this fish.
Yes.
So please follow the campaign. Again, it's in the show notes. I'll share it up here as well. Please follow the campaign because week 1 backers, we're trying to focus on that this year. Get people in early because we know how much that helps a series fight the dreaded algorithms.
Oh my god, yeah, Kickstarter's changed so much over the last few years. It's wild, like, how things are funding now, where it's like, it's always down to the wire now. It's really stressful. So if people can get in there within, like, the first week and just, like, give it a strong start. Oh, Tate.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, social media has been a huge slog. I used to be able to kind of post your links and get out to the right people. You'd figure it out, but that's been very difficult. Certainly there's bigger problems in the world right now, but as far as focusing on being an independent creator, that's one of our biggest hurdles. So following the campaign, sharing if you can't back, that helps hugely. Even sharing this pre-launch, which again I've shared in the comments and is in the show notes. Sharing that out in advance, it really, 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 really helps these campaigns. So whether or not you can back or whether or not this book interests you, if you're invested in Matta and I's success this year, we also, you see a third collaborator here at the bottom. We have Miriam Yasser, who's signed on as our colorist for the series. So another new participant is going to be joining us. So that's always exciting for me. A big part of why I do comics is to work with different people to kind of form these connections. At the end of the day, we may not be rich, but at least we can look back and say, hey, we did this thing together. And I always enjoy working with different people. And I'm so excited that you both are joining us for Child Possession Services.
I'm so glad she joined too, because her coloring style is so unique and like it's really, really solid.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see what she does with this.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it was David in the Discord or somebody else through the Discord who recommended her. She almost signed on for CPS #1, and we ended up going with somebody else. So I'm glad to kind of come back around to it and say, hey, no hard feelings. Let's work together again. It didn't work out timing wise last time, but comics is a small world, so don't burn your bridges, people. You never know.
Yep. It is crazy how small of a world comics is, actually.
Yeah, and it's part of why I like working in comics. It maybe in if you're writing a novel, maybe that's a comparison. But if you're working in TV or music or movies, you work really hard. You put out a great movie or something like that you independently produce. You're probably not going to get in the box office or on the shelf at Best Buy next to your favorite movies. But if you and I work hard enough, it may not be across every shop, but if we make the amazing Connie Dar comic, it might be on the shelf next to the Amazing Spider-Man. We're only a couple steps away from that, you know.
Yep.
We meet fellow creators that are at different levels of comics all the time. There's only a few steps between you and Jeff Lemire and the Tom Kings of the world. Uh, for some people, that might not be where they want to be, but I enjoy that part of it. That we're all kind of just one interconnected community, not too far spread out from each other.
Yeah, I mean it's cool like for me starting up especially because I started up only recently in like 2021 like hearing all of these names or whatever and people talking about these guys and then all of a sudden it's like 2023 and it's like, "Hey, I'm talking with those guys. This is so weird." It's like you realize that they're not on like some sort of like untouchable, unreachable level. It's just like we're all human and we're all just kind of like doing our best.
Yeah,
And
I,
that's pretty cool.
one of my favorite moments is, I had known him. Mike Norton is a big comic creator in Chicago. He's done series like Revival and Battle Pug, and he's worked on DC Comics. He had a credit in the Blue Beetle movie,
Cool.
but he's big around Chicago, and we know each other, through events or things like that, and we have some mutual friends. And I walked up to him at a convention. I was like, "Oh, hey, Mike, nice to see you. We'd met a couple times. Didn't think he really knew who I was." And I said, "Oh, I want to get one of your prints." And he's like, "Oh, you just take it." I'm like, "Well, you're selling the print. I want to buy the print." He's like, "Oh no, you're one of us, John. You take it." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so
Aw,
touched. Like how nice."
that's
And
so
that's
sweet.
really stuck with me for a long time. Like that he kind of knew that I was part of, had a table there and was doing the whole thing. So
Aw, it's like
and,
senpai noticed me.
you get a lot of interactions like that, just like any place you have some knuckleheads, but I do feel like comics gets a bad rep. There's a couple of very vocal knuckleheads, but it really is a good community.
Yeah, the more that I've gotten involved with the comics community, like I can say that there's like it's very warm, it's very welcoming. Like there are very few people out there who are like, "Oh, well, I'm better than you. Like you're nothing to me." Like everyone is just no, everyone wants to see everyone else like succeed because it's that whole like a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yep, and we definitely need it right now. There's a lot of people trying to put out these passion projects, and there's a lot of us, especially with the pandemic. I think a lot of people like myself. I kind of had a plan in place before the pandemic, but it really did kind of give me that urgency. Like, okay, time is not infinite. We need to get going on some some personal projects if we're going to do it. So, we need each other to champion each other and share. And again, we understand, you know, finances are what they are, but the shares really help these days because even the private shares, if you know somebody who's going to be interested, tag them, send them a message. You're not our street team advertisers, but it really does help these comics succeed.
Oh, even just commenting on a post too, it gives it like quote unquote engagement, which like helps it reach more eyes. So even if it's just like you see a post and you're like, "Oh, hey, this comic looks really cool." Like that's a huge help.
Huge. It all helps. It all raises those tides, which raise those ships.
We need the ships and the
We
tides.
need the ships very high. Why do
We
we need them
very
so high? I don't know. Where are we going? Why is the tide going up? I don't know. But yes, so happy to reveal this today. That's again our fourth series officially announced. We already know that Drumsticks of Doom will have a fifth issue as well, so people have probably seen that. So really, again, all five issues now are all five campaigns now have been announced here at their part-time comics. So we certainly saved the best for last here, and
yeah.
we're so excited. We will also announce here we will have a variant cover for this issue by the amazing April Reyna. So look for that soon. It wasn't quite ready for today, but that's okay. We just signed her on less than a month ago, so we don't want to rush the process.
Yeah, especially with the holiday season being a holiday season and all.
Yeah. No, I appreciate everybody who's still working hard. When you want to take those last weeks off. So appreciate you finishing this under the wire here.
Ah, no problem. I took the entire like last weekend and just like played video games and just dissociated for a
Oh,
while.
good.
Yeah, now I'm back, ready to do stuff.
back to the grind. Yeah.
Yep, it never ends.
Well, and for those who've hung in here, you get a special surprise here at the end if you've hung first time. We do have another version of this cover. We talked earlier about Matta and her the choices that she is making. I'm confident. Again, she's shown us through her own comic that she's making the right choices and doing what's best long term for the product. She decided to color this digitally, and you see the awesome colors here. You see this awesome pizza.
I love the
It's very
pizza.
very key to the story of the pizza. So this is great, but she did have another version colored traditionally, and we may make this into a print. We may make it into a variant cover. So a part of engaging with us too. Let us know if this is exciting to you and you want to see this cover. See this as a cover itself. Oops. You want to see this as a print. You let us know because your feedback will really help. I like the way this looks. It gives it kind of a fairy tale feel. But again, I do appreciate, Matta as the artist. I want her to be happy with it. Oh, she has it right there in her
Yep.
hands.
I have to rescan it actually. I feel like that scan looks a little grainy, but like it looks so much cooler in person.
It's a cool piece, and I have very few pieces that are traditionally colored. I might be the one purchasing this cover myself. I might not let this one go to
Oh goodness.
a Kickstarter backer. I may keep this myself because it's so rare that people color traditionally, and it's just so cool to see that. Uh, So yeah, you all get a special preview. I think at the very least we'll make a cool print. I like the way that you worked in the typeface and the title and everything there. That looks really cool. And again, I think it gives it kind of a fairy tale feel. So we'll definitely find a way to make this part of the campaign too. So let us know. Let us know what you think, how you want it. Maybe you want it for a poster on your wall. Maybe you want it for an actual traditional cover. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I'm always inspired by like these like Art Deco or like Art Nouveau posters, and that was sort of my inspiration. Like when they have either like product advertisements or like movie posters or whatever. Like I always feel like they're really striking. So like that's what I was going for.
Yeah, no, again, choices are great here. I think it is very striking. You're like, look at this intimidating image, which for those who've been reading the series, you might recognize the character. You know that you know a little bit about her already. But she'll definitely be in this issue as well. There'll be more with our short friend here. But then, of course, you got Connie Falling here and all her various vices and troubles here. Again, and the more you look at it, the more you get a sense of the series, which is really cool. That it does look a little bit scary and intimidating at first, but there's a lightheartedness to it as well.
Just gets weirder the more you look at it.
And the crows, I personally need to do more with the crows, so we'll have to talk about some story ideas down the road for that as well.
Excellent. Yeah, that was another thing that stood out to me was like when she first like, when we got an introduction to Jocelyn and there was like all of these crows flying around. I was like, "Wow, that is so cool."
And again, totally driven by Bob. He was just like, we're just gonna, she's got a bunch of crows around her. You're a writer, you'll figure out where they come in. And again, I love when artists do that. I feel like they don't get enough credit, even if they didn't write a single word in the script. You all influence the story heavily with those kind of choices, and that's Bob Duty. He actually, again, he wrote a lot of the first issue himself, and was gracious enough to let me flesh it out. We kind of came up with the idea. I don't even know if I've told you this yet, Matta. Connie started as a joke. Bob needed a short for an anthology, and I was like, oh, he loves John Constantine. I'm going to make a gender bent John Constantine called Constantina and make fun of Bob and kind of do this bad British humor.
Oh my
And
god, that's
and he
amazing.
and he was like, okay, haha, the joke's funny, but I think you actually have a story here. What if we made her, you know, of Indian descent, but she was transplanted to America, and he kind of really expanded the story, and that will tie into how she works with her powers and working with possessed children, and again, artists don't get enough credit. He really drove the series to where it is now. So it started as a joke. It was going to be a one shot, and then it became a much bigger story thanks to him. So again, I say this every time I talk about the series. He's a huge part of where it's at, and I'm happy again that it's continuing on in your hands.
I will try my best to make him proud.
And I think again, just by the cover alone, you've already exceeded expectations. So you could turn in stick figures from here on out, and we're good to go.
Oh no, I couldn't do that.
We definitely we promise not to make you redraw it in 5 years.
I might end up like just you wait. I'll be like, oh, you know what? I know I'm almost done, but like page 1 is bothering me. Let me just fix something here.
Please don't do that. Well, it's up to you, but you all work hard enough
It's for the cause.
for the cause. Well, yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to again as we start in 2024. That it will be a 20-page one shot. So again, people follow along if you've been following CPS. You're gonna get a lot of the same again, dark humor. Uh, Hopefully, it'll make you think about a little bit about what would really happen in a realistic world, with possessions running rampant in the end. But we're continuing on with, Jocelyn and Connie, and Benson is back from the first issue as well. So
I loved Benson. I'm so glad that Benson is back. She was
me
so like
too.
bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I was like, oh my god, how charming.
Me too. She is the heart of the series. Definitely meant to be a kind of a one-off character, and then just kind of liked how she developed. So we were like, you know what, she's got to be a bigger part of the series. So
So also like, without spoiling things and having looked at the like, script that you sent, I love how everything is sort of just like snowballing. I love it when series do that where it's just like, all right, well, there's a throwback to this thing that happened, and now it's like they have to face the consequences in this issue, and then it's like, down the road, it's like more consequences and more consequences,
more
and
consequences.
yeah, it makes everything feel really cohesive, and it's also just like, you're reading it and biting your nails like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen? Like she did this and she, made that happen. Like how's that gonna bite her in the ass?
Well, then I'm really glad I had you on because you're definitely selling it better than I usually do. So I appreciate that because
Oh,
that is the point. And I'm not always the best writer at doing that. Sometimes I'm like I said, I get it's like a one-off joke or something like that, and then you kind of got to make a story from there. Um, and that's what I've definitely tried to do with CPS. Again, tried to grow it from that first seed. And you want people to be invested in the characters so they care if something happens or uh, and I hope that people will. Again, we're planning for spring-ish, so look for that. But please follow along just in case timelines change and things like that. You know that you'll be notified because you must get this sticker on week 1.
good
You
old
will
Seymour.
you will be getting Seymour. Seymour
Rest in
2. This
power,
could
my
be
friend.
Seymour 2, 3. We don't know.
We don't know.
We'll decide that later. How many Seymours there have been before? But yeah, so please follow along. Get the week 1 sticker. We'll have tons of other. We'll have, of course, all the old issues, and we'll find some other great things to add in there. But also, going back, don't forget to follow Sacrimony 1 through 7, launching in 17 days, 18
Oh god.
days
Oh no. Don't
on a
say it like that.
on a Monday. Garfield, what are you doing?
Oh my goodness. Not eating lasagna. Unless it's a good day, then I might get lasagna. We'll see how launch day goes.
Monday, yeah, the 15th. So it'll be a big week. And if you want to see CPS, you got to support our other series because you don't want Matta and I to go into a deep depression where we don't want to make comics anymore, and we
Oh
don't
my
make
god, that
CPS.
that was me in 2023. Like I was so burnt out. My god.
Yeah, I know it's hard to keep the energy up. You got to constantly be the promoter and the social media and everything. You kind of get to a point. I'm trying to get in the habit of almost like ending around like October, where it's just like I have to maybe fulfill things, focus on writing and stuff like that at the end of the year, so I can kind of recharge those batteries. And
Yeah,
I feel
winter
like
is
that
for
worked this year.
hibernation. It's for hibernating.
I feel like it worked this year. I did have 2 Kickstarters to mail at the end of the year, which was a little hectic, but I wrote a lot. Got prepared. I did some lettering and some other kind of stuff like that, but it kind of help recharge. So I know that doesn't always work for everybody, but give yourself some time. It can be hard being on the comics beat 24/7.
My god, yeah, seriously.
But thank you for sharing your story with us today. We'll definitely be talking more.
Aw, thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me to be part of CPS. Yes, I am.
And Tate says
Always.
thank you for wearing hats 24/7. You never need a hibernation from the hats. keep them on all the time, although I don't have one on. But yes, thank you for joining the series and for being a willing participant. I'm so excited with what we're going to make together. And yeah, everybody follow Matta. Again, links in the show description. Follow her. She's a fun follow on social media as well. And jump in any Discord chats. She and I are always chatting up and sharing with our fellow creators. So we look forward to seeing you all in the world of the internet. Take care, everybody.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Bye.